Watch fans, today we're going to have a little fun and we're going to talk about Rolex and Tudor and how the two became. Stay tuned as we look into the Submariners. Okay, so today we're going to talk about, again, one of my favorite brands. We do normally kind of get into Rolex, we have some fun, but personally for me, one of the best buys that you will find for your money will always be Tudor. Tudor was actually created for a purpose, it actually had a statement behind it, and I believe that Hans Wilsdorf really knew and was ingenious in every decision that he made. I really believe he was the guy who thought out everything that he could think of. And so, for that purpose, today we're going to look at one of my personal favorites and one that I know that he even personally invested in and had a lot of love for. We're going to look at the Submariner line. Now, we all know Rolex was actually going to be created first, actually originally being named Wilsdorf and Davis. It was actually created in 1905. Amazing company, more focused on the British, right? So, right afterwards, he decides he's going to make another company. Well, this company that he decides to register is going to be called Tudor. And he names it after the Tudor family, and he buys the rights to actually use that name, to use their images, their likeness. This young man is doing everything that he can brilliantly. And he does this at the age of 24. When he actually opens this company, it's 1926 when he registers it, but he doesn't touch it again until 1929. I start looking at things, and I know that this is a guy who even says the name Rolex was actually where a genie whispered in his ear and gives him this magical phrase. And that's what we know today as Rolex itself. But this gentleman did not touch this company until 24 years after actually doing his first, which was going to be the Wilsdorf and Davis. And I look at it and I go, 24 years later, and he's 24 years old. This guy just thinks completely outside of the box. Everything that he's doing is actually being done with a purpose, very strategic, well placed, even things like the mother of pearl that he does on the Rolex. The mother of pearl is something that reminds him of actually how he grew up and how he started in the jewelry industry, actually being a pearl stringer. So the mother of pearl has a true purpose. So later on, they get to this piece where they're going back and forth, and he's trying to prove the point. He's making this piece. He wants it to be waterproof, and he actually registers it as waterproof. One of the reasons why Rolex is still and Tudor are still the only waterproof watches. They were registered in the 1920s. This is going to be well before a lot of other things are going to come about and how you have to prove this and prove that. He's smart enough to actually register the watch and register the patent and patent everything to be waterproof. We do use the title swim proof now, but it's actually going to be just a variation of it. So legally you kind of protect yourself and make things good. But he comes out with the watch that actually becomes one of the largest watches in the world. And it's actually created in Tudor. Tudor is his working class man's watch. This watch is focused on the working class. He says that it should never exceed a third to half of the cost of a Rolex. This is going to be the one that's going to make his daily household name. It's going to be the piece that's affordable, where you can get luxury at a fine price and always feel good about the purchase that you make. Well, in that line, they create the Submariner. The Submariner, which we now say the Submariner Prince to be later, the Submariner becomes an instant hit. Not only does it become an instant hit, it becomes such a huge deal that he instantly that year has to move it into the Rolex line because the Submariner just pops. It gives that extra piece of life, and it's giving everything that he's wanting in a watch to prove his waterproofness of the watch, how well you can swim in them and do different things. This is going to be that piece that's extremely active. And at this time, the world is focused on underwater exploration, which is why you hear words like aqua and different things like that that really sea dweller, or different names that are going to actually give you or mean water. Submariner, to be able to be submersed in water. During that time, a submariner was lowered into the water, actually by fishing line, to tell you how deep it could go. You marked your fishing line, and when you marked it, it told you, hey, this did good. It did not crack under pressure in the water at this amount of feet. We can continue to say that this piece is good to go. So when you're doing those kind of things and you're telling yourself, okay, this is giving me that extra piece, it's giving me that extra bit of life, For this to be able to be a piece that he created in his secondary or subsidiary line, Tudor, which when he first did it, he actually put it in his best friend's name and he bought it from his best friend. Yes, the brand Tudor was purchased for 1 Swiss franc from his best friend. So the two models that we've actually pulled out today are going to be two that are going to be more of the 60s models. I love them personally. These are models I feel really pop out. We actually have the Rolex Submariner. This is going to be the 1575 movement. This is going to be a 1960s watch. We have it here at SwissWatchExpo right now. Do not wait. This will not last long. This is a piece that is phenomenal. It's historical. It's the first piece to actually have the Cyclops lens on there as well. This is the piece you have to add into your collection. And please don't get me wrong. While I love this piece and I could talk to you about it all day, the Submariner Prince is here as well. The Tudor Submariner Prince is that piece that created this beauty and this joy of the line that we actually celebrate today. Yes, we also have the modern version, so you can even get pieces in ceramic now, and we've even moved to a 41mm case. But today was really just to show you two amazing vintage pieces and give you a little bit of history of where they actually come from, why they were created, and who did it. So tell us what you think below in the comments here at Swiss Watch Expo. We'd love to hear from you, and we have these pieces here, and they are ready to find their new home.